Welcome to The Authority On, a podcast brought to you by Device Authority.
Hi, David.
Good morning.
It's really nice to meet you finally in person, having met you virtually a number of times. For everyone watching, I wondered if you could tell me a bit more about VIPC and your role.
Yeah, certainly. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer. VIPC is part of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we're a state entity and the innovation arm for the Commonwealth. We're really focused on economic development. The mission areas we focus on are either public services like public safety or enabling new industries. Currently, advanced air mobility is a big new industry that we're spending a lot of time on.
Amazing. So your talk at the conference is called What's the Emergency? Public Safety in a World of IOT and Cybersecurity. Could you give us a very brief overview of what you're going to be discussing today?
Well, certainly the two major areas I mentioned, public safety or advanced air mobility, both are increasingly reliant on data and the use of data to understand the situation that's going on. In public safety, it's really about bringing together people and data from a number of different sources. For advanced air mobility, it's all about understanding threats flying in the airspace. In both of those cases, a lot of the source data is from IoT devices. It's important that the data be secured and trustworthy. All those good things that come along with cybersecurity.
Which means that our partnership works well.
Yes, indeed.
So, in the context of public safety, how has the rise of IoT impacted emergency response systems, critical infrastructure, and so on? Are there any particular advancements or challenges that stand out to you?
Yeah, so I think there are two things. We've done a fair amount in terms of environmental sensing. We just had a major hurricane come through the U.S. and caused substantial flooding or wildfires. So I think IoT sensors, both for early warning of the waters rising or a fire has ignited, has proved significant. In some cases, for example, in wildfire, we're getting alerts about a fire 30 minutes before the emergency call comes in. So that's a big difference. I think the other area, kind of the overlap of the two use cases I mentioned, is that we're now increasingly using drones as a first responder. So before the emergency services can arrive on scene, they'll send a drone and get a quick look at what the situation. And that's had some very positive impacts.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So that means we can get our emergency services there faster.
With a better understanding of what's going on.
Exactly.
Right? We've had an instance, for example, where the drone was able to provide the location of a roadside emergency. The callers were not able to provide an exact location because of the drone information. The responders got immediately to the car. They were able to extract the person from the car, which then immediately burst into flames. The ability to get them more quickly has a real life in.
Amazing. So with more devices being connected, how do we ensure that these systems are secure and resilient against cyber attacks?
On the IoT side, I started with the IoT devices, and I think those are easier to understand and help manage. People are a real issue, weakness, or vulnerability, if you will, and understanding the identity of devices at the edge, communications, validating the data that's coming through. All of those are tasks that we're now showing how those can be done.
You mentioned digital critical infrastructure. How vulnerable is our infrastructure to cyber attack? And what steps can we take to protect them?
Well, we're already seeing, I think some of the adversarial nation states, we're already seeing them in testing out attacks in some of our critical infrastructure, whether it's through power grids or water supplies. So, part of the title, What's the Emergency? I think that's a big piece of the emergency is we need to take steps to protect those vulnerable systems as quickly as we can. Hopefully before we have a disaster or another disaster on our hands.
Yeah. The more advanced we become, the more we put online,
Right.
the more vulnerable we are
I
to
think
these
that's
nation state attacks.
That's the connectivity that's led to those concerns.
Scary, isn't it? So what role does public-private cooperation play in securing critical infrastructure?
Well, at least in the States, there are two things. A lot of the critical infrastructure was privately owned or quasi-privately owned, and we rely on those entities to secure their own assets. The second thing is increasingly emergency response the private sector is part of our response. Whether we're talking about the World Kitchen, as Andreas, or Home Depot providing plywood, right?
Yeah.
It's an integral part of the response. And so we need to find ways to share information across the public-private space.
Amazing. So climate change is another key area of your session.
Yeah.
How does IoT integrate with climate-related emergencies and technology and helping migrate risks?
Yeah, I think our big success so far has been with the wildfire sensors. So we've deployed those out to Hawaii, to where the Maui fires were, Colorado and Canada. The Netherlands actually bought a few of our wildfire sensors. And as you move to more northern latitudes, there's places where the permafrost is melting for the first time in their memory. It immediately burns, and once it burns, it's now susceptible to flooding. Trying to find ways to understand better and to manage that.
Yes.
I mentioned hurricanes. Certainly, we're seeing that much more till we understand where the risk areas are, high risk areas for buildings and for population.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
ever evolving.
Right.
So quantum computing and AI are also big discussion points.
Yeah.
Could you explain the potential impact of these technologies on public safety and cybersecurity? And are there opportunities and threats that we need to be aware of?
Yeah. So when we talk about quantum computing, I think it allows rapid solution understanding of problem areas that were not approachable previously.
Yep.
For things like asset location, where can I redeploy assets to best respond? During an emergency, what can I change where I put resources to more effectively respond? I think that's an area where, from a computational point of view, there certainly are opportunities. From the vulnerability perspective, implementing some of the quantum resistant operations on the assumption that passwords aren't going to do it very much. AI is more of a mixed bag. We don't yet understand it. Certainly, if we use AI as an analytic tool, that makes sense. I worry about an AI-based system coming and asking for access to our critical infrastructure systems. How do I manage that? And use that effectively.
But from a strategic point of view, working out where those assets need to be,
Yes.
we're actually looking at quite a good benefit there.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, how do you see the relationship between IoT and public safety evolving?
I think it's the two big things I mentioned already. Situational awareness. We're not going to have these networks of devices deployed. And hopefully that will help our understanding of what situations are. And then the use of those technologies. We're spending a lot of time right now on drones as a first responder to incorporate the ability.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me and talking to me here at the conference today. It's been really amazing to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure as well. I'm glad to be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Authority On, a podcast brought to you by Device Authority. If you have any questions about the subject matter in this podcast, please head to the Device Authority website, deviceauthority.com. See you next time.